Hello and welcome to Gaming Gain. My name is Muzz and this is a final word / Muzzpressions for Walking Dead Saints and Sinners. Now, I can safely say that Walking Dead Saints and Sinners is the best VR game that I've ever played. This is a full game experience in a VR headset. And while, yeah, it does have some jank to it, I think that's purely based on the system it's on. PSVR is not the most powerful, the Move controllers are not the best. It is such a unique experience and such a great time. They have nailed this game. The whole idea of the mission structure where you go into levels and you've got to do an objective, but at the same time you've got to scavenge for items, scavenge for food, bandages, anything, any junk you can get your hand on that you can then recycle and repurpose into weapons, ammo, healing items. It's just such an addictive loop that just gets you. And I wish I had played it all the way through once. Unfortunately, I didn't. I took various breaks over a couple of weeks to a couple of months over the game, but completing it has been a joy. The story is a bit formulaic, but it also puts you in positions that while you're standing in front of someone and you have to make a decision whether they live or die, again, someone being an NPC, you're not actually doing this, but it really just amplifies and makes the moment more intense than if it was just you watching it on the screen. You're in there, you're standing in front of the person, you have to reach down and pull out a gun and then potentially shoot the person in the head. It is brutal, but it works in the Walking Dead universe, which is a brutal universe where the people are what you really should be more worried about than the dead. It is such a great game. The combat, like, you could take the most intricate combat systems from, like, Devil May Cry, Bayonetta, where just fluid combos, and I would argue that stabbing a zombie in the brain with a knife from this is just so much more impactful. It's so much more, just the feeling, like, you actually feel like you need to put the force in order for it to actually penetrate the skull. And it is just a combat system unlike any other I've ever played. It's just an experience. The game combat is, it's just so good, and it really ramps it up as you go on. You're having to face, at the start you're maybe facing 1 or 2 zombies at a time, then before you know it, you're facing 5, 6, 7. You've got to use bombs, you've got to use guns, it just, bow and arrows, it just creates this anxiety that as you go on, although you might be getting stronger, the enemy's also getting stronger. The human element of it, I would say the story, the decisions you have to make are good. The combat with them, unfortunately, is not great. They're not the best shot, and you can exploit their weaknesses a little bit. If you just sit back with a long range weapon and you pick them off, they don't really come after you. They kind of lose, they almost have like Dory short term memory loss, where they just, someone's dead, oh well, we'll go back to our posts, I guess. But that is the only drawback, and again, I put it down to creating this fantastic gameplay experience where, even though that isn't the best, it's still, some of the moments, some of the shootouts you can have are really frantic, where you're ducking behind, you're shooting over. It just creates such a fantastic visual sensory experience, because you do feel like it, even though real bullets aren't obviously coming your way. You're ducking behind cover, you're maybe blind firing over, or you're frantically putting ammo in to reload. It is such a, I've used the word experience a lot, but it is, and it is one of the best experiences in video game. I liken it to Resident Evil 7, where that was a game changer in terms of horror, because this is a gameplay in term. This is a gameplay. This is a game changer in terms of what a VR game can be. A lot of VR games are on rails or you're stationary, whereas this is a full-blown game. You're walking about. There's plenty of worlds, plenty of levels to explore. There's a gameplay loop that is addictive. There's characters in there that you really care for, and the story is, again, formulaic, but it is very, very good. So if you have a VR system, I'm pretty sure it's on every VR system at this point, Walking Dead Saints and Sinners are the game you have to get. Now moving on to, it's called Aftershock, the DLC, and now I don't know what the end game was like prior to this. It seems like a lot of people are very positive about this, because it's kind of what the game needed. And basically, without giving too much away, if you are planning on going and get it, I may spoil some things here. You have to go out and collect weapon caches, but it's done in a way where it's a lot more mission, but there's a lot more objective behind it rather than just going to search for the. You learn a bit more about the place, and all the enemies are kind of randomly split over the, like they're randomized. The scenarios are randomized because you can get weapon caches and all that throughout, but this is a much bigger kind of deal. This is like proper loads of stuff in there. It's not just like one or two items and maybe a schematic. You have like a lot of stuff that you can get from this, and it really makes it worthwhile. And it adds in new elements as well to the original game, which I think is very, very cool. Basically, there's nothing more than that. Is that you just go out on missions to get the caches, but there's a bit more behind it. There's a bit more story. You find out, people are doing things. You get an upgrade for your flashlight that changes certain ways that you can interact with the world. I'm not going to give too much away, but it is, I think, and from what I've seen, what this game needed, and I'm having just more excuse to play this game. I'm so gutted that I never played this all the way through the moment I got it. I believe it came out a similar time to The Last of Us Part 2 and then Ghost of Tsushima, and I just put it on the back burner. But yeah, it is the best experience I've had in VR, because it's not an experience. I keep using the word experience. It is a full game you can play through. It took me probably about 15 to 20 hours, and the combat system is second to none in my opinion with regards to the melee combat. Taking out a samurai sword and beheading a zombie, nothing will beat that for me at the minute. It is just so visceral, it's so impactful, makes you feel like you're actually doing it, even though obviously you're not. But it is such a great time. And that is my thoughts on Walking Dead Saints and Sinners. I'm sorry I didn't complete this one sooner. This one's been on the back burner for a couple of years, but life gets in the way, all that. But let me know what you think. What do you think about any of the VR stuff that I've done? What do you think about Walking Dead Saints and Sinners? Are you happy with the new DLC? Did you play it before and it was kind of a wee bit, all over the place? Let me know what you think in the comments below, and all that's left to say is, with all that said, any thoughts, comments, general hostile remarks, leave them below. Thank you very much. Bye bye.